Hey guys, I'm the Dragonsbeard and I'm back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, finally. It has been a crazy couple of months going on in my real life, so I just came out of the peak season for the holidays because I'm a retail manager and it gets really crazy around that time of the year. And then as soon as that was kind of drawn to a close, my wife got COVID and the whole house, including myself, was sick. So we had some crazy quarantine stuff going on. But I'm back and I'm excited to get back into making some content for you guys for the new year. So we are going to be looking at another clan boss team, surprisingly. So we're going to be checking out one of them that has been very suggested in the comments, and that is using a special version of the Myth Heiress comp, which works including Ninja. And Ninja is a really great damage dealer for this team, just because when you're going at a 3-to-1 ratio, which is what he does in this team, then it's going to cause his passive to scale up very quickly. I think by turn 12, his passive is maxed out, and that means we've got a full 30, almost 40 turns worth of him cranking out his maximum damage. And I didn't think at first that this was going to be viable because there's no weaken in the team. But even without the weaken, him doing crazy damage numbers, decreased defense is all we need, and we should be able to push this into a 1-key. It's going to work on every affinity except for Spirit, because on Spirit, Eris is going to get stunned. I'll explain that as we get farther into it. So let's run through the champions, and I'll show you the builds and the masteries, since the masteries are always highly requested, and then we will go over the custom AI and give it a spin. All right, so just like the other Myth Air teams, we're going to be running Deacon Armstrong as our leader for the 19% speed aura. So I've got mine built in speed and perception. He does not have to be built that way, but that brings him to 195 speed. I've got 4K attack on him, almost crit capped, and then 219 crit damage. We need accuracy on him in order to bring the decreased defense. Ninja is also bringing that, but between the two of them, having accuracy on both really helps for 100% decreased defense uptime. So his signature thing, just like the other teams, is this A3 because it's the turn meter fill, just like Seeker, that has an extra turn associated with it, so he can use that every single clan boss turn. So for his masteries, we've got him going down to War Master, pretty standard build, and then the defense tree, this is from an older team that I was running with him. He only really is going to get 3 or 4 counterattacks throughout the fight from the deterrence mastery. Nothing else in the rest of the tree does anything for him. So deterrence, the other choice would be to go down the support tree for extra accuracy, picking up Lore of Steel, and then Master Hexer. But in this case, he already has masteries that work for the team, so I went ahead and left them the way that they were. All right, so second champion is going to be Seeker. So he's the other turn meter booster that helps reduce the speed, since they would be very high otherwise. And his signature thing is going to be that A2. It works very similar to Deacon's turn meter fill, in that the extra turn right after is going to allow him to do that every single cycle by running effectively 3-to-1 with the extra turn. So with him, he's going to be able to do a little bit more damage than what Deacon does. 4,300 attack. I've got him into attack boost because the speeds are a little lower. 181 speed, almost crit capped, and then 228 crit damage. You do not need accuracy on Seeker because he's only bringing a provoke, and it does not work or do anything for the clan boss. So for his masteries, it's almost the exact same thing as Deacon, except I did not finish his scrolls. So he's going all the way down to War Master, picking up the offensive talents. What I would be doing, since this is a block damage comp, is I would be flipping him from Grim Resolve over to the offense tree. But these are my old masteries from when I was running the Bat Eater team, so I left them the way that they were. The defense tree right now for me is doing nothing because I did not finish to get that deterrence mastery. I would go support tree for that Lore of Steel if I was looking for just extra damage. But in this case, when I finish his scrolls, I'm just going to go ahead and put him in deterrence. All right, so the next champion is Eris, and she is doing a lot of things in this team. She's a damage dealer, she's bringing a cleanse, and she's bringing speed buff to reduce the speeds that are necessary for it to work. So I've got her built in a toxic set because she attacks 3 times per clan boss turn. She's got her passive, which happens every single turn when the team gets hit, and then she's also using the A1 twice. So that's 3 chances for her to put up that toxic set debuff. I could put another champion into toxic set, but I want to make sure that Ninja has room for his debuffs to stay on. So I just went ahead and left it her as being the only champion. If you don't have fast enough toxic gear to run her at the speeds that are necessary, you could flip Deacon into toxic gear as an example. So her A2 is what it's all about. So she's going first in the turn order, so she's providing the cleanse for the AoE2 affinity debuff as well as for the stun. And then this increased speed, after it gets extended by Demytha, it will be 3 turn duration, 3 turn cooldown, and she can refresh it every single time. And that really helps keeps the speed lower. for the team. So for her build, her base attack is a little lower, so she's at 3,800. She needs to be pretty fast, 266. That's to run at that 3-to-1 ratio. I've got her crit capped with some decent crit damage. Since her only debuff is coming from the Toxic Artifact set, she does not need accuracy. It's just what happened to be on the gear that I put on her. So for her masteries, I've got her going down to War Master, same offense tree as everybody else. I built her specifically for this comp, so that's why I gave her this mastery, which is what you would want on the whole team, ideally. And then for her, I wanted to get the sniper chance for the artifact set because it improves the rate for toxic to apply, and then it also can extend that toxic debuff through Master Hexer. Plus, when you're trying to reach the speeds and stuff and increase your stats, Lure of Steel is nice for that. So that is Eris. All right, guys, so Demytha is our next champion, so she is going to be the one that keeps the team alive throughout the entirety of the fight. So this happens because of her A3, 3-turn cooldown, and since she's running at a 3-to-1 ratio, it's ready every single turn. And then she goes dead last before the clan boss. This block damage is only a 1 turn, just like Warcaster, so if anybody goes after her, they're going to lose that before the clan boss acts. We don't want that to happen. So she goes dead last, and that's ready every single cycle. Her extension is the other part of her kit that's important for this team because that increased speed I showed you on Eris, she keeps it going at a 3-turn duration instead of 2, which means that it's 100% uptime. And then her only damaging ability is this A1, so she's not going to be doing a ton of damage, but we went ahead and put a little bit of damage stats on her anyway. 3k attack roughly, 282 speed, fastest in the team for that 3-to-1, and then almost crit capped, 153 crit damage. Accuracy is not needed. And for her masteries, really the only important part here is to go down to War Master. The support tree, I have her set up for a different team, so you don't necessarily want to copy this. In that team, I needed her not to get stunned, so I gave her Steadfast, but not really much over here that is going on. If I was doing this myself, like fresh, I would probably go down to Deterrence the same way that I had Deacon built, for example. All right, so last up is Ninja. So he's our damage dealer, and he's going to be able to do some pretty nuts things just because of how fast he runs in this team. With his HP burn activation that happens on his Hailburn ability, the second part here, this is going to put up a lot of damage because of how often he's able to use it. And then he's also got the cooldown reduction that happens on his A3. The nuts thing about him is his passive. So when he's running at a 3-to-1 ratio, the second part here, fighting bosses increases his attack and his crit damage. That stacks up very quickly because he's able to cycle through those abilities and get all of the hits out very early. So we've got a good 3/4 of the fight where he's ramped up and at full damage. If you're running him in a 1-to-1 team, for example, it might take halfway through the fight or longer in order for him to max out that passive. But because he's 3-to-1 here, it happens very early. So when Deadwood Jedi was putting together this team, he called it the Ultimate Myth Heiress. He did that on the test server, and it was like right towards the end of the test server, almost closing down. So he wasn't able to kind of optimize the damage on the team. So that's the reason why I wanted to put it together on my own account, since I was the one who made the team. So 5,200 attack, 256 speed. So he's actually able to run 3-to-1 and be slower than Demytha and Eris just because of that turn meter fill. And then he's also the slow champion that kind of gets dragged along with the turn meter boosts from Seeker and Deacon. So I've got max crit rate on him, and his crit damage is not super high. I mean, if I had the gear to put him over 200, that'd be great. But I did not want to take gear away from any of my arena champions or anything like that. So he's kind of built with leftovers and was able to still get to these numbers. He does need accuracy in order to land the HP burn and also the decreased defense. So you want to make sure he has like 250 accuracy in his build. So for his masteries, I've got him going down to War Master. I'm going to go ahead and actually add Heart of Glory because this is the only place that I'm really using him. And then for extra accuracy in the support tree, Lure Steel for extra stats, and then the extension for the HP burn. What you want to be very careful with him, just like Painkeeper in the Bat Eater team, is you kind of want to avoid having the counterattack masteries for the defense tree. If he gets an extra A1 with that turn meter boost on it, it can cause the team to come out of sync. So you just kind of want to avoid that. There are some teams where you can run him with the defense tree, and it actually might work in this one, but I've not tested it, and there's not really a way to simulate that in the calculator. So I just left it off and took the extra stats from the support tree instead. All right, so I'm going to show you a 6th champion, and that's Geomancer. So he is going to be a substitute damage dealer for Ninja when we're going against Spirit Affinity. I would love to use Ninja against Spirit since that's strong for him, but in this case, Eris would be the only Force champion in the team, and she would get stunned, which means that it would fall apart. We have to bring another Force champion in order to bait the stun. So the way we do that is we put him ahead of her in the champion select order, and then the clan boss is going to stun him instead, and then Eris is going to be able to cleanse him immediately. So he is pretty well built, 5800 attack. He's a lot slower than Ninja because the way that this team works is your damage dealer can be either 2-to-1 or 3-to-1. So I had him slower for a previous build, and I kind of left him as is. 162 speed, which falls in the range. He's almost crit capped. He's 250 crit damage and then 258 accuracy. You need 250 plus probably for his HP burn and his weaken. So the reason why he works really well as a force substitute is that he does less damage than what Ninja does, but he's also bringing in a weaken through his A3. So that adds the team damage overall. So what you lose from Ninja's personal damage, you kind of gain in the damage from everybody else. So for his passive, it underwent some changes a couple months ago when everybody thought he got nerfed. It still does great. So I was worried when I first used him in one of these block damage teams because since you're not taking damage, you're not deflecting damage. However, the Giant Slayer component that they built into the end, 3% of max HP, that part still does work. So he's able to do, even with the block damage, very good numbers. So I went ahead and switched his masteries finally because I had him in Giant Slayer before. But we've got him going down to War Master. We've got him in Heart of Glory for the bonus damage. And then for defense tree, again, the only part that's important is deterrence for a few different counterattacks throughout the fight. It's like 3 to 4 times on average. So I think these are the exact same masteries that I had on Deacon. Okay, so I've got the champions plugged in here. This is actually a full auto team, as long as you do the custom AI. So let me show you how that works. Deacon needs to have a few delays. So the way we accomplish that is an opener for his A1, and then we prioritize his A2 because we need it to go A1, A2, A3 for him. And for Ninja, it is important you plug this in this way. We need him to prioritize his A2. If you don't do this, then it can cause him to have too many or too few A1s, and because of that turn meter fill, extra A1s when you don't want them is not a good thing. So for that, this is how you set his AI up. For Seeker, it's really simple. He just needs a 1-turn delay on his A2, so we just open with A1. For Demytha, we just want her to go in the order of A3, A2, A1 on that circular pattern. So we've got her set up this way in order to do that. And then for Eris, you do have to plug in first priority for her A2. Otherwise, sometimes she won't use it when she needs to. So if you just plug in first priority, it forces her to use that every 3rd turn. So if you're running this like with that Geomancer substitute, it's the exact same thing. All the AI is the same for that comp, and then you just plug Geomancer in and let him do his thing. So nothing necessary special there. All right, so the reason why I wanted to show this against Force is that if you're running Ninja against Force, you have to look for one specific thing early in the fight just to make sure that it's going to stay in tune for the rest of the way. And that's just because if he gets, I think, back-to-back weak hits at the opener on turn count 2, then it can cause him to fall behind Demytha, and then the rest of the stuff won't sync up. So we just want to make sure that when we're watching this to start out against Force, that the block damage goes up before the clan boss on the end of turn 2, and then the Eris goes first at the beginning of turn 3. As long as that happens, then the rest of the fight is fine because the boosts from Seeker and Deacon take care of the rest of the variation in the turn meters. So we're kind of coming around to that part here. So the other thing you could do is you could just run your Force team, Geomancer or something like that, against the Force Affinity as well, because Ninja's not doing the best damage here anyway. So there's the first A1 that he just used, which was strong hit, and here's the second one. So in this case, neither one of them was a weak hit. I think both of them have to weak hit in order for him to fall behind. I've never had it happen while recording. So there's his A2, and then here's your block damage. So there's the clan boss turn. Then Eris is going to go first and do her cleanse right away. So from this point forward, then we're confident that it's going to continue for the rest of the way without any problems. I'm going to speed up the rest of the fight, and then I'll meet you at the end and kind of show you the final damage. All right, guys, so check it out. That's a 1 key against Force Affinity, which is the weakest affinity for this team. So Ninja, 34 million with the weak hits going in there is crazy. So tons of damage coming from his HP burn activation, and then because of his passive ramping up so fast, he doesn't really care whether weak hits are happening. He will do more damage against Void or Magic, which I'll show in a second. But Deacon, 8.8, so almost 9 million. Seeker, just under 10. As I mentioned, Demytha only having that one offensive ability is the weakest at 5.1. But check out Eris, 17.2 million coming from a rare with that toxic set and the counterattacks is crazy. So here is that magic run. So you can look at Ninja. He jumps from 34 mil all the way up to 48 and some change. So that very healthily puts the team into that 1 key range, 91 million almost. So when I ran this with the Geomancer substitute, I was able to break 80 million using him with the weaken in the team and stuff as well against Spirit Ultra Nightmare. So I think depending on how much gear you have to spread between the champions and stuff, you should be able to pretty healthily 1 key every single affinity using either Ninja or Geomancer as that sub for Spirit. So the last thing I want to show you guys is what this looks like in the calculator. So I've got the speeds plugged in. The speeds that are in the link that I'll put in the description are the minimums for the speeds. You can go up on a few of the champions, like Demytha, Eris, and Deacon have some flexibility upwards in speed, but not downwards. And then Seeker and Ninja are going to be the two champions that have the tightest speed range. So, for example, if I take Ninja 1 speed point up, it's fine. If I take him 2 speed points up, it falls out. Pay attention to the true speed because that can fluctuate based on whether you have speed sets and perception sets. But Seeker is even tighter, so I have him plugged in at the only speed that works. And if you go up or down, it doesn't. If you kick it over to Nightmare, it works just fine. You're going to see the same pattern. So what you're looking for to make sure this is in sync is Eris going at the top of the turn for that cleanse, like I mentioned, Demytha at the bottom for the block damage, and then that pattern repeats itself the rest of the way through. If I kick it down to Brutal, it actually looks different because Eris is not doing her cleanse. It's a little early since she's faster than the slower clan boss, but Demytha actually does fine. This A2 here is a cleanse from her, so she was able to take care of the affinity debuff even with that 1 tick on the DPS, and it still stayed in sync for me when I've run it on Brutal. I've taken this team against a few different affinities on Brutal, including Spirit, using that Geomancer substitute, and it worked fine. So I kind of expected that it was going to be one of those things where I just threw it in and then let it do enough damage to get the top chest, but it was able to run the entire 50 turns because once you get down here to the bottom of turn count 3, it falls into the same sync as the higher difficulties, and it continues onward. So as long as you can make it to where it falls in sync and survive, then it is good from that point forward. All right, guys, that's going to be all for this one. I hope you enjoyed seeing Ninja put up those big numbers. So I know that, like on my account, he was really underutilized, just sat there in the champion storage and what have. But seeing what he can do in Doom Tower, seeing what he can do in Hydra, and then of course this clan boss team is really going to make me use him more often in my normal roster. So he's actually going to be featured in the next video as well. So we're going to be doing a budget version of the Mythbuster team that you might have seen over in the Deadwood Jedi Discord. So that one is coming. I've already started building it. And hopefully we'll be able to get that uploaded for you guys in the near future. So until then, I've been the Dragonsbeard. Thanks for watching.